Hey, what's going on YouTube? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Got another mock draft queued up, ready to go. Been doing one a week. They've been pretty popular, been getting a lot of questions. So as we go through here, make sure you guys know, feel free. Comment below if you got questions as to why I picked somebody or maybe I should have picked somebody else. This is a mock draft. This is not how it's supposed to be, done to 100%. This is for you guys to get like a look into my mind as to how I do mock drafts, how I plan and how I think ahead. I'm not saying to absolutely go pick these players in this order or your team's not going to be good. That's not the way it is. This is just to kind of see where the chips fall, make different selections than you normally would, see how your team turns out. I've done a couple mock drafts here the past few weeks, one from the number 11 position and one from the number 5 position. So this time I got it queued up for an early position. Got number 2 overall queued up, ready to go. Got it set up for the 2018 season, just a half-point PPR, snake-style draft, 12 teams, drafting from the second position, and a standard lineup. You got the 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, a defense kicker, and 6 bench spots. That's pretty much what a lot of you guys will have in your lineups. But we'll go ahead and get right into it, and we'll see what kind of team we can come up with from the number 2 spot. If you haven't used the draft wizard here on Fantasy Pros, it's awesome. You can mock draft in literally minutes. This one will take a little bit longer because I'll be talking through some of the picks, but it's great. You got your draft log over here of who's been selected. The round and the overall pick number is the expert consensus of who you should take, and your actual squad over here. Just because the experts suggest those guys doesn't mean you have to. You go down here and hide drafted players. This is the list of players you have to choose from. So this is what we got. Looks like somebody took Antonio Brown first overall, which is possible in some of your drafts. I mean, a lot of these people, some people want to go heavy wide receiver this year, and I get it. I'm not one of those people. I am a running back guy. I am heavy running back in the early parts of drafts. I want to make sure that I have 2 to 3 solid running backs on my roster before I worry about some of the other positions. Not going quarterback early. Some people may. Don't freak out. Don't feel like you have to. If you've seen my rankings video, right now my number 1 overall ranked player is Todd Gurley. And a lot of people are starting to fall off the Todd Gurley bandwagon, saying that, they expect some regression. But for what? I mean, just because you want to hate on Todd Gurley? I mean, nothing changed in L.A. They still have the same offense pretty much. I mean, yeah, they lost Sammy, but they got Brandon Cooks. I mean, the defense is better. They should have some second-half leads where they need to rely on the run. Plenty of touchdown opportunities. I mean, Todd Gurley, with that improved defense, I think sometimes people forget about the defense. If the defense is holding the players or holding the opposing teams to lower points, the offense that's scoring points is getting to run the ball and run the clock out. And that's Todd Gurley this year. So for me, it's a no-brainer taking Todd Gurley number 2. And the worst part about picking early in the first is you got to wait way late in the second. But this is what we come up with. I've told you how high I am on running backs. And I know if I were to not take a wide receiver here, we're going to start reaching into high upside territory. But you know what? That's fine. It's a half-point PPR league. Todd Gurley had a great year, 2017. I believe he had close to 60 receptions. That's a positive for your running back. So we need another pass-catching running back. I'm going heavy running back. And we're going to see where the wide receivers turn out. I mean, we never know. If we don't mock it, we don't know who's left. So we're going to mock this way. Devontae Freeman, he's ranked inside my top 12. I believe he's in for a improved season this year. Second season under the Sarkisian offense. Look what happened under Shanahan the first year in Atlanta. They struggled. They struggled a lot. Devontae Freeman wasn't what we thought Devontae Freeman was the first year of the Kyle Shanahan offense. And look what happened the second year. He kind of turned out to be a stud. Same type of thing. They got the offense figured out in Atlanta. They drafted Calvin Ridley. That should bring more people out of the box, opening things up for Devontae Freeman. Yes, Tevin Coleman is still involved, but Devontae Freeman is going to be the number 1 guy there and should see the bulk of the work. Christian McCaffrey, huge passing upside. Not much of a run game guy, but should get close to about 80 catches. Jordan Howard, he's going to see a ton of carries this year. What happens in Chicago when it gets cold and wintry and wet and everything else? They run the ball. Jordan Howard could see a huge workload. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to be a little bit bold. We're going to go heavy RB and just see where our wide receivers turn out to be. So I'm going to go with Devontae Freeman here. Now we get our choice of wide receiver Or do we want to go heavy running back again and go with our flex spot and fill our flex? It's either or, to be honest. There's not one right and one wrong. A lot of people will say it's not right to go running back, but the flex is a starter too, right? I mean, he kind of gets forgotten about, and he's usually the last position to fill on your roster, but it doesn't need to be. If there's a stud there to take him, go ahead and take him. So we're going to be extremely bold in this one, fellas. We're gonna go heavy running back, and let's see what kind of value we can get at wide receiver late. I talked about Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Howard already. Jerick McKinnon, huge upside in San Francisco. Love Jerick McKinnon. I don't know if he'll be able to last all year in a 3-down back type of role. Joe Mixon, I love the breakout potential of Joe Mixon, but Joe Mixon is coached by Marvin Lewis, and Marvin Lewis hates fantasy players, so I don't know if I want to reach for Mixon. McCaffrey would be a great flex opportunity, being with his pass catching ability, especially in PPR. So let's go ahead and go with Christian McCaffrey as our flex, and let's see what kind of receivers we can get value-wise. And now we wait. All right, so what do we got receiver-wise? The two Detroit guys up here at the top, Tate and Marvin. I get a lot of comments about Marvin Jones. I get a lot of comments, and it is. Marvin Jones is overlooked a lot. The only reason I'm really not on the Marvin Jones or Golden Tate bandwagon is Kenny Galladay is due to take a little bit of a step forward. Is he going to take away from one of these guys? He's not going to take their job by any means. But they may see a few less targets here this year. It's possible. We don't know exactly for sure. I do think they're great value, but you're kind of hit and miss as to which one to take. Michael Crabtree, nope, there's no passing offense in Baltimore. I'll pass. Robert Woods, I do like Robert Woods. I'm kind of worried for him to be my number one, but I do like Robert Woods. Devin Funchess, absolutely not. I get to watch him firsthand here in Carolina, and he will not be on my roster. He is way too inconsistent. Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman is probably a little early for Julian Edelman for us to take him, but this is Tom Brady's favorite target outside of Gronkowski. Some video came out this week of him playing at OTAs. He looked amazing. He's a PPR-style stud. We are going to get 2 back-to-back picks right here. So it's possible that Julian Edelman ends up on our roster here at some point. Let's go ahead and take the upside. I'm going to listen to the people. I'm a people listener. I do like these guys, so I'm going to go with the upside of Marvin Jones. And let's see what happens. And here we go. So we're not going to take Tate, obviously, because we already have Marvin. Crabtree, we've talked about how I'm not bought into the Baltimore pass offense. No thank you. Robert Woods, decent option. Funchess, heck to the no. And Julian Edelman, we'll put him up there as an option. We already have our 2 running backs and our flex taken care of, so we don't need to worry about that. As far as tight end goes, Evan Ingram, Greg Olsen, Jimmy Graham, still plenty of options available here at tight end. It does hurt that we lost Hunter Henry to his ACL tear. Hate to hear that something like that happen, but that is one less tight end to worry about, so make sure you're paying attention to your tight ends. But we're looking for receptions here, right? We need to get some catches. So we're going to go with Julian Edelman. And take a look back at our tight ends. And now is getting to the point where we're close to looking at quarterback. So we'll look at our tight ends. We got Rudolph, Burton, Reed, Eifert, Howard. I love some Kyle Rudolph this year. I think Kirk Cousins could be – or excuse me, he could be Kirk Cousins' style of Jordan Reed in that offense. You can see a lot of red zone looks. Let's cue up Kyle Rudolph, and we could pair him with Kirk Cousins also. I mean, if we had that stack in our lineup every week, doubling up on touchdowns every one they throw to each other. So let's see here. We'll go ahead, being that tight end. And this is where you got to pay attention. I know earlier by watching the draft log that the person that's picking after me already has a tight end. So they're not going to be picking a tight end right now, or they shouldn't be picking a tight end right now. So because Kirk Cousins would be my next pick, let's go ahead and take Kirk Cousins now. And see, they didn't take the tight end because I know they'd already taken one before. And now we can get Rudolph, and we get the bulk of our roster here, starting roster filled out. So now we start working on our bench. And if you've watched any of my other episodes, you know I am huge on Royce Freeman. I think Royce Freeman has huge upside with the potential to be a 3-down workhorse back in Denver. Great offense. I think Case Keenum is really going to help out Emmanuel Sanders if he's there with Demaryius Thomas. I know they got Cortland Sutton. Keenum's going to be a huge upgrade. Royce Freeman, though, he's got the workhorse potential. Let me cue him up. Let's see who we got on the wide receiver side. Jamison Crowder. He's got Alex Smith now. Don't even know if Alex Smith is going to be the one he locks onto. Cooper Kupp is decent, but he's not the number one offense. Will Fuller has huge upside with Deshaun Watson. Love Will Fuller this year. I mean, they had like 7 touchdowns in 4 games with each other. That's ridiculous. Sterling Shepard, he's going to see added opportunities this year, opposite of Odell Beckham. The addition of Saquon Barkley is only going to help open up the passing game. And Robbie Anderson, not too high on. I don't mind Robbie Anderson. I don't know what's going to happen exactly with the quarterbacks yet, whether McCown starts or Darnold gets a chance. So we'll go ahead and just leave it there. So now we got our options, the 2 guys that we talked about that we liked, Royce Freeman and Will Fuller. We're drafting back-to-back here. Being that Royce Freeman is the next running back queued up, I have a feeling that if we don't take him now, he may get chosen, as to where Will Fuller may be able to ride out. So let's go ahead and draft Royce Freeman first. And there's Will Fuller is still sitting there for us. Love the upside of Will Fuller. Go back-to-back and get Fuller. And we'll scroll back down here. I do like to have a spare of each position on my bench. So I'm going to go ahead and queue up one of each. We'll go down to tight end first. Trey Burton, huge upside in Chicago. I mean, they could turn him into the Travis Kelce light version up there in Chicago. So I'm going to go ahead and queue up Trey Burton because Tyler Eifert, I don't know if he could make it a game or 2 without re-injuring his back. O.J. Howard, I actually think Cameron Brate is a little bit higher in that offense than O.J. Howard. He'll be hit and miss all year. George Kittle, I do like his upside with Jimmy G. Not quite as much as Trey Burton, though. Trey Burton has the better opportunity. Eric Ebron has messed with people's fantasy lineups for years, so he's not going to mess with this one. Wide receiver, we got Rashard Matthews. I think Corey Davis takes a huge step forward this year. I don't know if Rashard Matthews is the top option like he has been in years past. Corey Davis kind of came on strong at the end of the year. Martavis Bryant, I think everybody got burned by Martavis Bryant last year. No interest in him this year. I mean, you got all the retreads there in Oakland now. Michael Gallup, talked about him when we were talking about Zeke. I think he's a little underrated. He could see a huge workload there in Dallas, especially with the off-the-field issues that Terrence Williams is going through. That's increased looks for Michael Gallup. Love it. Calvin Ridley opposite of Julio. Great opportunity. Sanu may take somewhat of a little bit of a backseat because of Ridley. Ginn has home run potential, but isn't a PPR stud by any means. As of this group right now, Michael Gallup is who I would go with. I'm looking for upside, looking for the lottery ticket. For running back, Kerryon Johnson has an opportunity in Detroit. Detroit's going to try to establish the run this year with new head coach Patricia. They haven't been able to do that in forever. I don't think they've had a running game since Barry Sanders in Detroit, honestly. Theo Riddick's more of the pass catching down. James White's part of 45 running backs in New England, and I'm staying away from P. Ryan, Carson, Booker, all these guys. Right now, Kerryon Johnson has the upside that we're looking for on our bench, along with Trey Burton, Michael Gallup. Those are the 3 people we've established that we want to shoot for. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll come over here to the overall. Because a lot of people, and especially in your drafts, you guys probably know this, they don't pay a whole lot of attention, so they're just drafting whatever name is on the top for whatever position they need. So always be kind of looking at that. So right now, Trey Burton is the highest ranked one on the list. Probably we do know that, like we've talked in the past, whoever's picking after us has already picked a tight end. That doesn't mean they can't pick 2 because everybody's kind of into this bench territory. So let's go ahead and go with Trey Burton right here. And we still have Kerryon Johnson and Michael Gallup available. And we're also at some point are going to need another quarterback, but there's so many options. Don't worry about reaching for one right yet. Jacksonville, they're already starting to queue up. A lot of people are going to be taking Jacksonville early this year. Go ahead and let them take them if they reach for them early, and you can grab the Rams, the Chargers later. and that defense is going to be almost just as elite as Jacksonville. So we've already talked about Gallup and Johnson. Being that we already have now 4 pretty solid running backs, and we kind of sacrificed wide receiver, we're going to try to hit a lottery ticket with another one and take Michael Gallup. Let's see what we got left. All right. So now for running back, Carson, Booker, Montgomery, none of these guys are going to jump off the screen at you. There's some upside here, but not a whole lot. Receiver-wise, you still have the upside of Ridley, who's available. Anthony Miller in Chicago has the potential to have a great rookie year. Mike Williams is going to get a chance for the Chargers this year. I mean, everything that you see on the wide receiver side is all upside. There's a lot of upside. There's no real proven guys that you can guarantee are going to go get you what you need. So what we're going to do, since there's nobody really jumping off as a need for us, we're going to go ahead and just fill our quarterback spot with the best available quarterback that we can get. If you look at what we got here, we got Marvin Jones, Julian Edelman, Will Fuller, and Michael Gallup. Now, I do like to have some type of a stack. As you can see, I kind of have Cousins and Rudolph stacked. I'd like to kind of do that again if possible. The only other option that I have at quarterback down here to stack with is Dak Prescott. A lot of people are hating on Dak Prescott this year. I am not hating on Dak Prescott this year as long as he's my number 2. I don't want to be my number 1, but I'll take the potential upside as my number 2. Like I said, that pass offense is underrated in Dallas. They have no big name receivers, but they got plenty of decent receivers to be productive. Zeke's going to keep people in the box. Dak has a tendency to scramble for touchdowns. He's capable of running. He's accurate. Dak Prescott is a high upside quarterback. Jared Goff, I like. Only thing I'm worried about Jared Goff is if the Rams have a lot of second half leads, they'll be leaning more on the run, and it may kind of limit some of his garbage points, if you want to call him that. Jameis Winston, I was pulling for Jameis last year, and I think he's just too crazy. I mean, I don't think he's able to like tone it down. I think he's like got ADD or something out there. He's like totally bouncing off the walls, and he just mentally breaks down and throws too many interceptions. Mariota is a possibility for a bounce back year, but he's got question marks, and that leads us to Dak Prescott. I'm going to talk about Dak. I think he's got good upside, and right now we're looking for upside since we already have Kirk Cousins as our solid number 1 starter. So we'll go with Dak, pair him up with Gallup, and we can use him week 8. When Cousins and Rudolph are on a bye, I could throw in, Dak up there at the top. We could fill in Michael Gallup with one of the other receiver spots and have another stack there. So we have 1 bench spot, our defense, and our kicker left. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Take a look at what's available, okay? If there's somebody available that is a stud running back or receiver that you got to have or whatever, take them. Take them now. Fill that last bench spot and then go defense and kicker last. However, if there's nobody on the screen that's jumping off the table at you that's like a surefire, I got to have them for my squad to make it better, don't just draft somebody to draft somebody. Defenses they can be key in fantasy football. Having a good defense is great. The Jags are obviously gone, but we do have the Rams and the Chargers, both of who I'm really high on this year. So I'll go ahead and put them up to the Chargers. Have basically the best secondary in all of football, and they still have Bosa and Ingram to rush the passer. That should cause lots of interceptions and sacks, fumbles. The Rams, everybody knows about the Rams. I mean, Donald and Sue up front, and the secondary that they put together is scary. I'm going to go with the Rams, and the reason being is they get a lot of interdivision games against the Cardinals. They have 2 against the Cardinals and 2 against Seattle. Both have bad offensive lines. They could have some big weeks. That's 4 weeks out of the year right there. They could have some big weeks. I'm taking that all day long. I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams 1 round early. Now, I will never take a kicker early. I'll tell you that. And I don't care who it is. I will never take a kicker early. So they're going to be last. So right now we're looking for highest upside out of wide receiver, running back, and tight end. And I don't think this is going to be too difficult to pick who it is. I mean, Calvin Ridley is number 1 on the list for the wide receivers, and I think he fell into a perfect opportunity in Atlanta. Opposite of Julio Jones, where not all the attention is going to be on him. He's a great route runner, high upside, going Calvin Ridley. Now, last round, picking a kicker. Now, this is what I do with my kicker, because kickers are kind of like meh anyway, to be honest. Is Gostkowski and Tucker and Bryant, are they all good? Yeah, they're all good, but I always try to pick a kicker that kicks indoors. I think you guys see a lot of times in the NFL season, there's a lot of times where there's games played in the wind or the rain. I'd rather just take half my games and know they're being played indoors and take the best kicker on the best offense for the indoor arena. Right now, that leaves us with Bryant or Lutz. Lutz for New Orleans, Bryant for Atlanta. I mean, I have nothing against Tucker. Tucker can kick it a country mile. But he'll be playing his games outdoor in Baltimore, which he's done okay with. And then Gostkowski in New England. I mean, come wintertime, it can be pretty bad in New England. And last year he wasn't overly crazy good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go – I like my man Will Lutz in New Orleans this year. Good offense, kicking indoors, consistent. And let's see what grade they give us. Not that it matters, but we'll see what they say. A-, 91 out of 100. That's a pretty solid overall team right there. You got Cousins, Gurley, Freeman, Marvin and Edelman with Rudolph, McCaffrey, Rams and Lutz, Royce Freeman, Will Fuller, Trey Burton, Michael Gallup, Dak Prescott, and Calvin Ridley. I don't know about you guys, but I'd be pretty happy with that lineup. I know we have no stud wide receiver, but we got a lot of potential and a lot of consistent opportunities there for us. But hey, hit me up below. Really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing. If you got any questions on anybody that I talked about, hit me up. I'm more than happy to talk to you guys about it. Make sure you're checking out the other videos. Got lots of other ranking videos. And don't forget about our listener leagues. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.